Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we are going to cut straight through all the fear, the hype, and, let's be honest, the endless jargon to understand something that is absolutely going to reorganize the way we do our jobs. We're talking about Agentic AI. We're going to look at the big picture of how our daily work actually evolves when software can start planning and acting entirely on its own.
To kick things off, I want you to think about one crucial question. What happens when software stops waiting for commands? We really need to break our existing mental models right now because when most people hear about AI, they just picture, a really fast chatbot or some polished automation tool. But honestly, that misses the real change entirely.
Let's compare the old way with the new way. The old way is like a thermostat. It just sits there on your wall, waiting for the temperature to change, and then it responds with a single programmed action. But the new way? It's much more like a house sitter. A house sitter doesn't wait for you to call them and say, hey, water the dying plants. They notice the problem, they make a decision, and they just take action to keep the house running smoothly.
Section 1. The real AI shift.
The core of this shift is that software is moving from just responding to instructions to actively pursuing overarching goals. Now, I know that sounds like a subtle difference, but it literally changes everything. A traditional tool waits for you. An agent, on the other hand, can break a massive goal into smaller pieces, choose actions, use other tools, and just keep going until the job is done. So we're no longer asking, what can software answer? The question becomes, what kinds of work can software actually start to carry?
Section 2. Defining Agentic AI.
Okay, so mechanically, the heart of agentic behavior is a four-part loop. First, it notices a goal or a problem. Second, it chooses a next action. It actually plans a path forward. Third, it uses tools or pulls in information. And fourth, it checks whether it's closer to the goal, gets feedback, and continues. A normal tool gives you an output and then just stops. An agentic system uses this loop to try and move a situation forward on its own. It's kind of like a cook tasting their soup and adding salt as they go.
Now, step 3 is the real game changer here, the tools. Tools are what actually let the agent act in the real world. Without tools, an AI system is basically just a really smart text generator. But with them, it can search a database, send an email, call a calendar, or query a massive spreadsheet. Think of it like a carpenter who only has ideas versus a carpenter with a full toolkit. Intelligence alone isn't enough to do work, right? Work needs access. Tools turn the AI's intentions into actual changes in the world.
Section 3. Unbundling your job.
So what does this all mean for us? Let's start with a new definition. Jobs are bundles. They aren't blocks. When people panic and say AI will replace jobs, that phrase is usually way too blunt to actually be useful. From the outside, a job might look like one solid block, like I'm an accountant or I'm a project manager. But inside, it's a bundle of smaller sequences. It's noticing something's off, coordinating with your team, collecting info, correcting mistakes. Think about your own day. You aren't doing just one monolithic thing. AI doesn't swallow that whole block. It steps in to take over specific slices of that bundle.
In practice, agents step right into the day-to-day movement of your work. Think about the workflow. Before an action, where you used to spend hours gathering info, agents can now scan everything and draft a perfect starting point. During an action, agents can execute sequences and use tools. And after the action, instead of you manually checking results from scratch, the agent can verify the data, flag problems, and just request your approval. They sit right inside the workflow with you.
Imagine your job is like a ridiculously busy restaurant kitchen on a Friday night. It isn't just one action happening. It's prep work, plating, yelling over the stoves, quality control, all happening at once. Now, if the prep station suddenly becomes lightning fast because an agent is in there chopping all the virtual onions, the whole kitchen changes shape. The bottleneck moves. As agents speed up certain tasks, the entire structure of the human job reorganizes around it.
Let's make this super concrete with a rapid-fire example, a recruiter. Now, recruiting seems completely people-focused, but under the hood, it's incredibly process-heavy. Here's the repetitive layer an agent can just absorb: screening thousands of resumes for basic fit, drafting initial outreach emails, handling the nightmare of scheduling interviews, summarizing profiles, and constantly reminding people about next steps. It pulls apart the recruiter's job by taking on all those high-friction routine tasks. But, and this is the important part, with that routine layer absorbed, what does the human actually do? Well, the recruiter can finally focus on building actual trust, reading a candidate's true motivation, sensing culture fit, negotiating nuanced trade-offs, and making those final high-stakes decisions. The job becomes way less about pushing paperwork and way more about making judgment calls in the places where human connection still matters the most.
Section 4.
The future of work. The big realization here, the aha moment, is that job change is not just subtraction, it's a redistribution of work. When agents enter a job, three things happen. 1. The routine work moves downward into the software. 2. Work moves upward into human oversight, where we supervise exceptions and ensure final quality. And 3. Work moves outward into new coordination, meaning we spend more time managing systems and integrating work across different teams. It's a totally shifting division of labor.
I like to call this redistribution the human renaissance. Agentic AI doesn't erase human value. Actually, it moves it toward the parts of work that are way harder to standardize. Your premium skills, they become your judgment in highly ambiguous situations. Your accountability when a system gets it wrong. Your relationship work to build trust. Your ability to handle really messy exceptions, and your systems thinking to see how the whole workflow fits together. As the structure changes, the most human parts of us actually rise in importance. I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to take away from this explainer today. Ask not, can AI do this job? Ask which parts of the job are a loop, which parts are judgment, and which parts are human trust. Once you look at your career through this lens, you can stop panicking over the doom and gloom headlines. You aren't competing with machines, you are redesigning how you work alongside them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this empowers you to confidently navigate the future of your work.